So what's the best place to retire in North Idaho? Well, in today's video, I'm going to break down two of the most popular choices, Hayden and Sandpoint. Let you guys decide. All right, let's go. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our team gets calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So if you're thinking about moving right now or 12 months from now, give us a call, text, or email. We would love to help you make that smooth move right here to North Idaho. All right, jumping right in, guys. Hey, we get these questions all the time. What is the best place to retire in North Idaho? There are tons of great options up here. So today I'm going to break down two cities. One is Hayden, one is Sandpoint. They are similar in some ways and quite a bit different in other ways as well. So the allure of retiring to North Idaho has been here for decades, right? Lots of people have been making the move up here. I think it's due to the culture, it's due to the freedom, it's due to the natural beauty. There are so many reasons why one might make the choice to move up here to North Idaho after you retire, right? You're not wrong. All of those are good choices. There are some downsides as well, which we'll get into later on in the video. But if you're thinking about making that move and the timing's right for you, get ready to pull the plug. Maybe you're getting out of public safety. We get a lot of people up here in that boat. So today's video, hopefully you will find it helpful in helping you guys make that decision, at least taking a look at some of the best cities up here, in my opinion. So jumping right in, let's get into the content. Here we go. All right, first talking about the size of the cities themselves. So Hayden is in Kootenai County. It's on the shores of Hayden Lake, right adjacent to Coeur d'Alene and the metropolitan area of Coeur d'Alene. So I say that, with quotes because it's really not that big of a city, but it's the biggest thing we got up here in North Idaho, and that's a big draw for a lot of people. So Hayden is very close to Coeur d'Alene, borders it, and so you get the amenities of Coeur d'Alene, but you have that small town feel. So Hayden, like I said, it's about 10.43 square miles, and the population is about 15,700. And most of Hayden is developed already, so that's something to keep in mind. There are some newer developments going in on the north end of Hayden off of Lancaster Road, but for the most part, it's tapped out. So you're not going to see a huge amount of growth unless they start going vertical like Coeur d'Alene is doing right now, but it will probably be a very long time before that idea gets explored. All right, on the flip side, Sandpoint, which has more of its own culture than Hayden, I would say. Hayden probably relies on Coeur d'Alene a little bit more. Sandpoint has its own vibe going on up there as the biggest city up on the really far north end of North Idaho. Sandpoint's in Bonner County, and it sits on the shore of Lake Pend Oreille. So Pend Oreille, Hayden, different lakes. Pend Oreille is enormous. Hayden's fairly small for North Idaho standards. Then the size of Sandpoint's about just a little bit under 5 square miles, so smaller square mileage, and the population's a little bit smaller too. It's at 10,000, which, what did I say? Yeah, so Hayden was about 16,000 almost, so quite a bit smaller than Hayden itself. So sitting about 10,000, and most of Sandpoint is developed already as well. So if you look at that downtown Sandpoint area, unless they start annexing more, I'd say it's pretty full. And once again, to expand, they're probably going to have to go up instead of out as well. Okay, let's talk about lifestyle and amenities. Hayden is a much quieter vibe. I would say that they really rely on the amenities of Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls somewhat for the lifestyle size, right? There's plenty to do in Hayden as well, but it is very much a small town. They've got some great events there. They've got, 4th of July parade, things like that, right through the downtown strip of Hayden. And there are bars, restaurants, some great restaurants up in Hayden actually, schools, all the stuff is there, but it's not going to be quite what Sandpoint is in that regard. So like I said, I would say that Hayden really relies on Coeur d'Alene to get the vibe and the atmosphere. But you're going to get a slower pace of life. You can end up on some acreage in Hayden or around the lake, and you'll feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And that might be the vibe you're looking for moving to North Idaho. I should also touch on healthcare, doctors, and things like that in Hayden. There are plenty of doctors' offices, dentist offices, things like that, and medical providers in Hayden itself, grocery stores, gas stations, all that stuff is up there as well. But to get to the bigger amenities, you're going to come down into Coeur d'Alene because Kootenai Hospital is in Coeur d'Alene, and that's a nice big hospital that has everything you would need right there. And really that's 5 miles from downtown Hayden, if that. So short drive, 10 to 15 minute drive, depending where you're at. So that access is here, but you're going to be relying on Coeur d'Alene a little bit. As far as recreational activities in Hayden, one of the huge benefits, you have Hayden Lake right there, of course. Not a ton of public access on Hayden Lake. You've got Honeysuckle Beach kind of on the south end there. That is a public access. Pretty small beach. There's a boat ramp there as well and a small parking lot. So if you don't get there early in the summertime, it's going to be pretty packed. And that's pretty much the only swimming area on Hayden Lake. There's a sportsman's access on the north side with a boat launch as well, but not much going on there as far as swimming. So Hayden is a little bit limited on that regard, but there's also a private marina still on the south shore and a little restaurant over there that you can launch your boat from, and if you're lucky, you can score a boat slip there and have boating access on Hayden Lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's like 40 miles of shoreline, so it's not a really small lake. Plenty of room for boating activities, kayaking, paddleboarding, all that stuff up there as well. And one of the things I really love about Hayden, if you go around the backside of Hayden Lake, you can get into national forest land back there. There's a public shooting range. I'm giving air quotes on that because it's not controlled by anybody, but is a very common area for shooting. And once you're in the national forest, you can shoot pretty much anywhere you want there as long as it's safe. You can hunt, you can fish, you can cut your Christmas tree out there, hike, all the stuff is right there, and it's endless. You hit those woods and you can head over to Montana before you hit anything else. So that's pretty cool. Lots of four-wheeling up that way. Just ask that if you do utilize that and you're shooting out there, don't be a jerk and leave garbage out there. Clean up after yourselves. Absolutely hate seeing that. So, but still, what a wonderful feature to have right there in Hayden, and it's just minutes outside of downtown. All right, next up, Sandpoint. If it were up to me, and maybe I were retiring, I'd probably live up near Sandpoint, full disclosure. Love it up there. I love the vibe of the downtown. It's it's touristy during the summertime, right? And wintertime, because you've got Schweitzer Mountain right outside of Sandpoint, just 10 minutes outside. So that draws a large crowd. Not the crowd you're going to see down in Coeur d'Alene by any means, but definitely some tourist activity. And that brings pros along with it, right? You have a vibrant downtown. You've got great shops, great shopping, great restaurants, a really cool downtown Main Street to check out, farmers markets. All of that's right there. And then the City Beach in Sandpoint is absolutely the best, in my opinion, in North Idaho. It's like a throwback to 1980. They've got an ice cream stand there, volleyball courts, white sandy beaches. It's absolutely awesome. So great place to take the kids on a summer day and enjoy that. So outdoor activities in Sandpoint are also pretty endless. Like I said, you've got Schweitzer Mountain right there. You've got skiing, snowboarding in the wintertime. Summertime, you can go up there and do your mountain biking. They do an awesome fall festival up there. Just beautiful. Hiking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and snowmobiling are really big up that way as well. So endless activities. You've got Lake Pend Oreille, which is the biggest lake up in North Idaho. And it's it's like 50 miles north to south. It's huge. So you can get lost out there quite literally on a boat and, enjoy that. Decent amount of public access on Pend Oreille, especially as you head up, really on all sides. On the south end, you've got Farragut State Park, and then, Sandpoint area, and then up along the top side as well. You've got some access points up there. Sandpoint has definitely a bigger art scene and that kind of vibe than any other town in North Idaho. You'll also hear people say that it's the most liberal city in North Idaho. Those two kind of go hand in hand a lot, I've noticed. So it's just good to know, depending on which way you see things. It's not super liberal by any means. It's still predominantly conservative, but it is something to note. If you're walking around downtown Sandpoint, you're going to see a little bit more purple hair than you might see elsewhere in North Idaho. Like I said, hasn't been corrupted yet, right? There's no homeless people running around. It's not like that. It's just a little more artsy. I guess that's the best way to describe it. All right, let's talk about cost of living. These two differ a bit, so it's good to point out. Hayden, cost of living in Hayden. Let's start with the median household income. So median household income in Hayden, Idaho is $72,000 a year. It's on the higher side. Median sale price of a home is right at $500,000. So I like to use the medians because with the average, you get these really, you'll get the $15 million home. That's just a rare unicorn. And then you've got the $25,000 trailer. So we get rid of those highs and lows and we kind of get a better idea of what is typical up there. So lots of, not lots, but some new construction in Hayden, and that's going in, you know, that $500,000 price range, $400,000 to $500,000 price range. And then we've got some established neighborhoods up there as well that are in that price range. So probably little better housing options than you would find in Sandpoint. Okay, Sandpoint, the median income is $68,000 a year, so not much different. But the median sale price on a home is $594,000, so almost $100,000 more. And that's really those homes in downtown Sandpoint. There's some really cool historic homes down there that are really nicely done. They tend to go a little bit on the higher side in that area. Sandpoint's a mixture, so is Hayden as far as, you know, quality of homes. You've got trailer parks, you've got waterfront mansions, you've got it all in there. So definitely something to consider. But cost of living wise, when you're looking at goods and services, they're going to be very comparable between the two. I'd say there's probably no difference there. The big difference is going to be that median home price being about $100,000 different, with Sandpoint being higher. All right, let's touch on weather. Also fairly comparable. Let's start with Hayden. Elevation of Hayden's about 2,300 feet. You're looking at about 174 sunny days a year. And then rain is about 26 inches a year, and snow is about 43 inches a year. So in comparison, Sandpoint sits a little bit lower. It's at 2,096 feet in elevation. A very similar sunny days. Rain is a little bit more at 31 inches, and snow is actually, I take it back, I said it was more. It's actually a little bit less at 40 inches. There's a bit of a snow belt on the north end of Hayden that might contribute to that. And then up north of Sandpoint, you've got another belt of snow. So still, really just a matter of a few inches. It's not that much different. Both are going to get weather patterns, little microclimates affected by the large bodies of water that they're near. Hayden being near Coeur d'Alene, Lake Coeur d'Alene and Hayden Lake. And those microclimates tend to keep it a little bit warmer in those areas. So that's something to consider. So you'll get a little bit less snow, and Sandpoint is the same thing. So property taxes are calculated the same in both areas. And the way they do it here is it's a levy rate. The levy rate is, there's an interactive map that's quite confusing on how it's all done, but just assume that if it's a more prime piece of property like waterfront, it's going to be taxed at a higher levy rate. The levy rates here in North Idaho are, I don't think I've seen one over a 1%. In general, they're like 0.6%, 0.8% in that range. So I would expect that for both of these areas. So they take the levy rate, say it's 0.6%, multiply it times the value of the home, 500,000, and boom, that's how you get your property tax assessment. One thing to consider, there is always a homeowner's exemption if your full-time property is here in North Idaho, if you're a full-time resident. So that homeowner's exemption is something great. You could go apply for that at the county, and it'll knock $125,000 of tax liability off of your home. So definitely go do that once you move up here. We will remind you at the closing table when we get to that point. Okay, maybe I left you with more questions than answers. That's okay. You guys can reach out to us anytime, give us a call, text, or email, and we can talk you through the process. I've done videos on both of these towns specifically, multiple videos, so you can watch those, and maybe that will give you a better understanding of what it looks like there, you know, really specific housing prices, what's the downtown like, because these are tough choices. Because say you're retiring and you're thinking, I want to be near good medical facilities, Hayden's probably going to be your best bet because you have Kootenai Hospital right there. Sandpoint has a hospital. It's a lot smaller, and that's not the same trauma center rating as Coeur d'Alene. It's like one step below it. So something to consider if you're looking for that. Sandpoint still has all the same doctors and medical services that you're going to need as you age. So still could be a good factor. We also have Life Flight up here. So if you run into that life-threatening emergency, you can, for a very expensive helicopter ride to a level 1 trauma center if needed. So something to keep in mind. I'd say, you know, that's a large factor for a lot of people. Another factor people look at is, hey, what's the proximity to an airport? And the nearest airport is over in Spokane International. So obviously if you're in Hayden, you're going to be quite a bit closer to that. Sandpoint's going to tack on another 30 to 45 minutes to that drive. Definitely another consideration there as well. Like I said, if you guys have additional questions about that, please reach out to us. We're happy to jump on a video call and we can talk you through. We have these conversations quite a bit. We live up here, obviously, been up here for many years, and we really dive into the real estate market. So I think our understanding of the local communities up here is par none, and hopefully we can be a good resource for you guys if you're thinking about making that move up here. All right, thanks again.